Good morning. It's Harvey Jackson from Exceed Grain Marketing. I'm just going to go through the Sask crop conditions and a little bit about the Canadian US dollar index, and a couple of the other crops. Uh, just as I took the screenshot here, the market only opened at 8:30, and soybean oil was slightly down at the time. Crude oil is flat, but up over the last 4 weeks, but just basically trading sideways on the weekly chart. Soybeans down, and wheat is actually up a little bit. And I think that's somewhat to do with the US or the US dollar index, which I don't have on this chart. So let's just go through the crop conditions for spring wheat and canola. These are the two that I keep talking about, but there's all the others on the Saskatchewan website. Uh, so spring wheat, we've got stem elongation at a third of the crop as of July 1st. Flag leaf is at 23%, and 6% is heading on spring wheat. Canola, mustard, we are 11% flowering and 26% bolted, 48% rosette stage. So the crops are advancing, but a lot of different stages, as we would probably note as you look at the following slides. Weekly rainfall, June 25th to July 11th, pretty dark band of 2-inch plus kind of a rainfall going across the Yellowhead corridor kind of an area, with some rainfall, hitting the south as well. There is no area that really got nothing that I can see, and maybe some problems with some weather stations, just like we have in Manitoba as well that I showed yesterday. Cumulative rainfall for the whole growing season, April 1st to July 1st, pretty good average rainfall right across, with excessive, of course, in areas. Topsoil moisture, excessive in areas, but good moisture all over. And that kind of results in some of the other problems that we've seen. And this flooding, crop damage, you see some red areas where we've got too much, of course, and some where there's no damage at all. And on there, there's other crop damage as well. It shows areas of hail and everything. So if you want to go to refer to that site, Saskag, and have a look there. So accumulated rainfall going across all the provinces, April 1st to July 3rd. We're getting a wet area in Manitoba, and no other is actually that kind of wet, but it's we're still getting enough rainfall, and there is no drought to be seen. Uh, Percent of average precipitation, we are getting higher percents, of course, like 200% over here, and, and 150 to 200 in some other areas as well. Of course, Manitoba is still pretty wet, and the northern area of the provinces are still getting a lot of moisture. Drought model, July 1st, uh, no drought. There's maybe some pockets showing up of drought, and I think Shaylin and myself, we talked about some of these, but there's maybe a little bit more that's still showing up here too. But still not a concern as of right now, but there could be some growing concerns if there's some heat that shows up, which is in the forecast. Uh, Skip this. Yeah, sorry. Canola. As it's trading, just when I did the snapshot, we are basically trading sideways. We were down yesterday and up a little bit today. Still like to see it get around this 38.2 retracement value, which is 660 to 661 area of the market for it to remain bullish. Here is the rapeseed and how it's traded. It actually went through the high watermark, still trading there basically sideways as of today. Soybean oil needs to get across the 23.6 retracement, which is less than a half a penny, like third of a penny higher, but trading down at the moment. Wheat. This this is our spring wheat chart. The next watermark to get above, we're trading up a little bit today. The watermark to get above is a 78.6 retracement, which is let's give it another 20 or 15, 20 cents higher, and hopefully we can get some steam to go up. What I did see in some reporting is some of the ag reporting agencies in Russia is actually increasing some of the expectations of production coming out of Russia, which is not going to help this situation of the market recovering unless we, follow some other commodities to get higher. milling wheat basically going sideways to um, flat right here in this leg. It's not in the bottom like the milling wheat or the red spring wheat in on our exchange, but so that kind of gives us a little bit of a hope if the market's going to recover at all. So maybe I'll just go through the Canadian dollar just to get a refresher a little wee bit. Here's the Canadian dollar back to July of 22, and we've been basically trading in this range to the bottom end of the third of the range. If we were to do Fibonacci, it would be in the bottom third here, not wanting to get out of this funk in the last, let's call it 3 months, and uh, basically a floor down here at the 72 area, 72 and a quarter area. And if we were to just back this up all the way back to 2004, we've had a lot above this range. And since we've been to that range, it goes back to 2004 and back it all the way up into the early 80s. And you can just see where this range is traded farther back. Uh, what I'm going to talk about is the US dollar index a little bit. What makes up the US dollar index? There is majority of it's euro, Japanese yen, pound, then the Canadian dollar, and then Sweden and Swiss franc. So in the similar kind of timelines, I'm just uh, looking back at where the U.S. dollar index is trading, and it's trading towards the up end of this range, and that puts pressure on a lot of the commodities, and as a majority of the grain is traded in U.S. dollars, and that puts pressure on the rest of the world that's trading with the U.S. And that's just a back up all the way back to 2004-ish kind of timeline. And what does that look like since the early 80s? It trades lower in a lot of times where the Canadian dollar trades higher. And I think that's all I got for you today. We'll chat later. Have a good weekend.